Hey guys, this is Derek from Blue Collar Chess. In today's episode, we're going to look at three of my games I played not that long ago. It was pretty early here. I wake up early because of my job, and so there was some distractions. So I'm going to focus on what I was doing while I was not distracted. The first game I'd like to look at is this one. So this is I got caught in the opening again. It hasn't been happening too much lately. Well, it's happened twice lately, but it doesn't normally happen with me. So I'm just going to quickly go through the game because this is going to be a quick one, you know. So this is all. So this really threw me. I've never seen this before. So let's take a look at the book. See what the book says. So that's not a Queen's Gambit invitation. So it's saying to do d4 here, which I played bishop g2. I don't think it really, probably doesn't matter too much. Let's take a look. Yes, the computer says either d4, bishop g2, pretty equal. I played bishop g2, so let's just stick with that one then. And then bishop g7. And now I played d4. This is e4 is good here too. So you can play it like a some sort of modern. And then h6 to protect the g4 pawn. And then, so I played c4. But they're saying e4 all over the place. e4, h4, knight c3. Yeah. I thought about h4. That actually crossed my mind for sure. But I ended up playing c4. And it didn't really change the evaluation too much. So we're kind of, there's really no book moves here. So now knight no. So they're saying knight e7. He played c5, playing like a Benoni type of thing, I guess. And I am flat out winning, they're saying here. So 1.8. So I played it really weird, and I played bishop e3. So let's look at what the computer says here for 1 second. So d takes e5. That's pretty counterintuitive to play something like that. Knight c6, knight c3. Yeah. I mean, saying I'm doing well here, it's hard for me to look at this and be like, okay, I am doing well here. But maybe. So let's go back to c5. Let's go back to c5 real quick. What other moves? So I have knight c3 here too. So knight c3 here seems pretty decent. So g4 is the problem, right? So then you've got knight h4. So then c takes d4. So I think it's this type of stuff that I misplayed here. So now it's knight b5, threatening to hit that square. I mean, and to take the pawn, of course. So d6 to stop that, and knight takes d4. So I think this is one of those things. I hadn't seen it, I hadn't looked at it, I hadn't seen any of these variations. So I just completely imploded. It happens from time to time. So, okay. So these are other ways to play it. What happens here? What happens if he starts knight e7? Yeah, I mean, I think already this kind of shows me that I just handled it weird, didn't spend enough time. I guess the moral of the lesson is this was a 30-minute game. If you need to spend 10 minutes in the opening, you need to spend 10 minutes in the opening. Because you're out of book and you're playing weird moves, or your opponent's playing weird moves. And if you need to spend time to do that, you probably need to spend time to do that. So there you go. So let's go back to the game here. So after c5, I played this really weird bishop e3, which didn't throw away the advantage, but it definitely is not quite as good, it looks like. I thought it was decent, but I kind of forgot about this move. And then, so they want knight h4. So they're saying knight h4 is the way to hold this position, which is, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably pretty spot on. So what is going on here? So now queen b6, they're saying. What do I got? I got knight c3, bishop d2, knight a3. I'm not crazy about knight a3 for some reason. I don't know why. Knight c3 though. Let's take a look at knight c3. What happens on this thing? C takes d4, knight e4. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now queen a5 check. Alright. Bishop d2. I don't know if queen a5 check is a good move. You gotta do something. How about, I don't like queen b4 any better either. Queen b4 check. Queen d. How about, yeah, queen d6 kind of appeals to me for some reason, even though they're saying white's doing very well here. So then c5. Oh, so you just keep pushing. You're just pushing. Now queen e5. And bishop f4. Queen f6. And bishop d6. Yeah, I guess if you can get this position, this is pretty good for white. So only cost you a pawn. All right, fair enough. So let's see here. Knight c6. All right, so I played knight c3. And then came g4. So this is, I think, where I went off. So right here. So knight c6. I'm still doing well. What do I have to do? I have to play d5 here. So I have to play it like a Benoni. Okay, so what? How do you play this? All right. How do you play this? What happens if bishop takes b2, right? Probably knight d2 maybe? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, knight b d2. So basically they're saying you're going to be getting this diagonal here. Like if he takes, you're going to be getting this diagonal right here. So let me do my arrows. Here we go. Sorry. My arrows. So you get this diagonal. Yeah, if he takes. Okay, so he's going to play g4 first. What happens there? Knight h4 again. I don't know why knight h4 was such a... I just wasn't really getting there. So he's going to do this, then queen, then d takes c6 first. That's interesting. Oh, I see. Yep. Because of that. All right, that makes a lot of sense. So bishop e5. They're saying is the best move. Let's take a look at that. Bishop e5. C takes b7. Bishop takes b7. Bishop takes b7. And rook b8. So that is a very interesting game. You can definitely play this for a win, for sure. So yeah, so my opponent gave me every chance to get a winning position, and I just gave it to him. And it kept getting worse and worse. Okay, so after knight c3, excuse me, you get g4, you get knight e5, knight takes d4, what happens here? Knight e5. So I thought c takes d4 was going to be the move, but he did knight takes d4. What happens then? C takes d4. Then bishop takes d4. Yeah. Oh, no. Is it bishop takes d4? Knight takes d4? Why don't you take c6? So knight takes c6. D takes c6. Because you're still losing a piece there. Right. So if you do this, this is still happening. So it doesn't even matter. So you have to do this. And now knight takes d4. And just d6. Alright. So yeah, just more. God, I played terrible in this game. Alright, so knight takes d4. Kind of gave me an out. Knight d3. And then, yeah, nothing's too bad here. Bishop. Yeah, nothing too bad here. Knight e7. So he takes. Whew. Just giving him the points. And then For some reason, I thought this was a good move, but it's not. Better would have been like rook to d1, rook a to b1, rook f to d1, rook a to d1. Bishop takes d4, c takes d4. Honestly, I mean, I was frustrated during this, so this is one of those things, guys, right? So even though you're playing online, you still, you still feel something, and I got kind of frustrated because I knew I was playing bad, and I knew I was missing something, and you could just feel it. So then now knight e4, h5, and this was another just complete mistake, right? Because now I'm missing So, and I should have known, because the guy was just playing for tricks and traps the entire time, and I should have known that was just another one, and I just had to move my queen somewhere else, and I probably would have been fine. So I have to look at some odder type things with my openings now. I haven't really like looked at that opening too much, other than like the main lines that I see the most. All right, so that's the story of that game. My takeaway is I need to just kind of look at those positions, just to have those positions in my mind, so I'm not going in completely blind. I don't think I need to like come up with a repertoire for it or anything like that. It's not something I'm going to see very often. I just need to look at it, get some positions in my mind, and to be able to play there. So now we're going to go on to the second game I played this morning. And this one was this. Yeah, so I think I was doing okay, and I just made a mistake on this one. So I like playing the Kalashnikov these days. I was playing the Accelerated Dragon for a while. I also play the Caro-Kann, and I can also play the Perk and that type of stuff. But I really like this opening, and so I like it when I get the opening, and I even like some of these like sidelines, like this. What is this? The Moscow or the Rosalimo? I think this is called, right? Yeah. So this is the Rosalimo. So I've been playing this E5 stuff. I like it because it leads to King's Indian-esque type of positions, which you should see in a second. Almost everybody plays this C3. I don't know if it doesn't really look like theory per se. It looks like castling is theory. Anyway, so then I do this knight G7. White is definitely better here, but it's very playable. Now D4, E takes D4, or C takes D4. C takes D4. Knight takes. It's supposed to be knight takes D4, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to be knight takes D4, but I did E takes D4. I haven't got this position too many times, so I'll have to try to remember that. So knight takes D4, and then all right. So here I played G6. I thought about Queen B6. I decided on G6. So the computer's saying knight takes C6, D takes C6. Would you do that? I don't think I would do that. Knight takes C6. Do you have to do that? Like, what's going on with that? Why do you have to do that? Why can't you play knight takes C6? You can't. Knight takes C6. Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't do that. This is how I would play this position, because you want to keep it somewhat dynamic. So yeah. All right. So now, oops, let's get out of book here. We're pretty much out of book anyway. So bishop G7. Again, most of the time in my openings, I'm trying to play some sort of fianchetto, and I'm more of a strategic player, and so you put your bishop on diagonal and you try to make something work. I mean that's pretty much it. So now bishop E3, my castle, get my king to safety and all that type of stuff, and now knight C3. So here, okay, so now I wasn't sure if it was a good move or not. Spent some time here. Again, I wasn't particularly playing well, and I did get a little distracted at this point. But so I played D5. The computer's saying that's the best move. E takes D5 is the best move, and what would happen if knight? What are some of the other moves? So I was thinking bishop takes c. Yeah, you got bishop takes c6 here. You got So you would just take back with a pawn probably. Take back with a pawn, and then that's not bad, right? And bishop g5, pinning the knight like in the game, and f6 because unlike in the game, now that bishop's gone, f6 is actually a viable option here. So okay. All right. So let's. I can go too deep in the weeds here. I want to look more in the middle game positions. Let's get what this is. So I played this. Okay. So what's the move here? Yeah, knight b4, and for some reason I thought I could just take back, but I couldn't. And the reason why I couldn't is we'll take a look here. So then knight takes c6, then b takes c6, and then you've got knight d5, and then probably queen takes d5, then queen takes d5, c takes d5, then bishop to c6. Right. So this position, saying it's good for white, but I don't know. It looks okay for black too. Like I would play this as black. Looks fairly dynamic. They probably will end up with an a pawn passer in this because of they're gonna take that pawn. They'll probably end up taking the a7 pawn, and you're gonna end up taking that pawn, and blah blah blah. So so that's that. Anyways, all right. So we'll move on from there. So knight b4, bishop c4. Yeah. So they got something better. So bishop g5, just pinning the knight against the queen. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Pinning the knight. And so the reason why I'm not spending a ton of time like going through variations and like really looking at it is because even though it was a 30-minute game, we were moving pretty fast. I'm only 5 minutes in, and I spent 2 or 3 on just like one move. So honestly, I'm blitzing these things out pretty quickly. So that right there is a diagnosis, right? Like you need to stop doing that. So let's look at. Knight b takes c5. Yeah, so we're dead even. It's a very even game right now. Bishop g5, I think is a good move. What is going on here? h6 right. So they want h6 right away, which that probably does make sense. I ended up doing this. It's still dead even. And now I play queen c7. Again, they want h6, so again, probably makes a lot of sense. So I play that. I'm thinking I'm being all tricky, I'm hitting this, protecting this. This should be able to slide over. This should come out. This bishop became an issue for me in the game, and I should have developed it a while back. So, all right. So now queen b3, and I expected all this. And still they're saying h6. And I end up playing knight c6. I thought maybe he was going to do knight to b5, and there would be some stuff there. But it ended up being more... he just took, and I had to take back with a pawn, which was my plan. Because I was thinking that pawn would shield my queen, and I could get my rook... It also, of course, limited what I could do with my queen in this particular position. So those are the two issues. So knight takes c6, b takes c6, and he played rook fe1. Yeah, so they were saying rook ae1, which I don't know. I mean, the only reason why you'd keep the f rook there is to push the pawn and have it protect around it, so maybe that's what the computer thinks is a good move, possibly. So okay, so now they're saying queen a5, which I saw that in the game, and I should have played it. I still think I should have played it, because I think here is where I kind of go It's not here, it's shortly. Yeah, so computer's already climbing a bit. Rook b8. And now queen to a3. So the other reason why I played this is because played rook b8 is because I kind of missed queen a3. I just assumed the queen was going to go back. But queen a3 is a very good move. Surprisingly difficult move to deal with. Again, so the opening gave me everything that I wanted. I wanted a even game with chances. It gave it to me. I squandered that by playing some kind of weird moves with some funky ideas. So this was the losing move right here. Queen b6. So queen a3. Queen b6, because it ended up being pretty slow. So now, and I thought it defended against bishop e7, but it didn't. Now when I'm looking at it, I don't really know what I thought it did, but there was a lot to evaluate there. And again, I should have probably spent more time, because the computer's saying bishop e5 and to block the rook, and then to get your bishop to, yeah, so that's actually a pretty good little move. So let's take a look at this. So there, and then you got to play bishop e6. It's like the only move in that position, and that makes a lot of sense. So then queen f6. So now you probably got to watch out for this, right? All right. So you got bishop takes h2, king h1, queen d6. Yeah. That's all very interesting. So wow, yeah. Actually, let's take a look at that line. That's really, really interesting here. So bishop takes h2, king to h1, can't take back because the queen's protecting it. Now queen to d6. See, I was thinking you might even have like a rook e6 here, but you don't because of the bishop right here. So now what do? You got g3. So now you got bishop takes g3, f takes g3, and then queen takes f6. Wow. Yeah, that's a weird. That's weird. All right, let's not look at that too deeply. All right. So after queen b6, he played bishop e7 like he should. I played bishop f5. I realized I just lost the rook there. There's not a lot to do. So I played bishop f5, and I had to change my mindset because now I'm working with just essentially going to be dynamics and imbalances is what I'm going to be like working with, and that's all I'm going to have. And if he can trade down, he's going to be winning this game pretty handedly, and that's just the story of the game. All right, so bishop takes. So what did he do here? So this ain't queen c1. I think I like queen c1 better, but he's people do this, right? They're just like, I'm just going to trade down. I'm going to trade down. And instead of like really still playing chess normally, you should still play chess normal here. You shouldn't just trade down, because the position is fairly dynamic. So it become a mindset thing for him. And he did give me some chances, if I remember it. So then queen c7. So basically the rook is hitting the queen now. Then he played queen a4. He kept finding the best moves in every position. So that was tough too, right? Like, so you're playing somebody, and they're still finding the best moves. So you're kind of like, Here I should have played h5. I played bishop d6, which is second best move. h5 is probably a little more clear though. Yeah, I think h5 is just probably a little more clear. It makes more sense. So I played bishop d6. And here he played h3. And now I played bishop c5. Because I don't have anything to attack. I mean, the only thing I can attack is the diagonals towards the king. So that's where I'm putting all my play. And then he played rook e2, which was, yeah, rook e2's best move. I played, what did I play here? But bishop takes h3, which is a bad move. It was a bad move because you have to see all this, which he saw in like 40 seconds. So it's when you're playing somebody as strong as this guy, and he's calculating all these variations and so fast, it's just hard, right? So he played bishop takes f7 check. So then I played king g7, and he played queen h4. Let's take a quick look at like what happens if I take the bishop. So if I take the bishop, queen c4, and pretty much my attack is gone, right? So that's one issue with it. So the queen's going to go there, check. And then king g7, queen takes c5. My bishop comes back, and now I don't really have an attack, okay? So I think that was the basis of why he felt he could do that. And so we'll go back to king g7, queen h4. Again, finding all the good moves. So here I should have played queen takes f7, which that's what I kind of calculated that. So at this point, I'm kind of playing to keep things as complicated as possible. So I play bishop f5, which seems to be a bad move. They're saying I should have took. He would have taken, and there you go. All right. So rook a to. So you played bishop to b3. That makes a lot of sense. They were saying rook a to e1 because if if you took, the reason why they're saying that is rook a to e1. So if you take there, you got this fork, right? So you got that one, and then if you take this way, you've got this stuff, right? So you take, and you can't. So just like this, and this is probably winning for white, I would think. Yeah, plus 4.9. So bishop b3. All right, and then rook goes to f8. And that was a mistake. That was a serious mistake. Okay, so, all right, so rook, so rook a to e1, which, I mean, that's just a natural move, right? You just go there and it makes perfect sense. Now rook to f6. I was trying to block the queen there. And then he played rook to e5. Yeah. And then I just made a mistake. So at this point, I just cracked under the pressure. It was bishop f8, which was my first move that I thought of. But I ended up playing this and just dropping the bishop. So I just resigned here. As soon as I made that move, I just resigned. That's been a continuous problem. Whenever I'm defending or if I'm just under pressure, I do tend to crack sometimes. So I've got to work on that. I've got to work on those type of positions. I bought a course on defense and counterattacking, and I'm going to be working through that pretty soon. But yeah, so this game, I mean, I played relatively fast. It's a 30-minute game. I use half my time. We're at move 30 here, move 29, and yeah. So now we're into this game. All right. And I think the opening went okay for me in this game. I don't even remember here. So knight f3 again, d5. Yeah, so this is like, I don't know, probably like a Stonewall Dutch. And yeah, so look at the master database here. So I actually played b3 here. That crossed my mind, and I probably could have, should have. It says c takes d5, knight c3. Yes, knight c3 is not a good move though. That kind of just equalizes everything. So yeah, I should have played b3, a3, queen c2. I mean, anything but what I did apparently. So yeah, all right. So knight c3. He should have played d4 to kind of punish that. Then I would had to have played knight a5, and I guess they're claiming that the knight is offsides there, but I wasn't too worried about that, to be honest with you. So yeah, so nice. So c6. So this guy, instead of thinking on his own, he just wanted to play this structure right here, right? You know, this thing. So he just wanted to play that structure. So he has that structure now. So I took the pawn here. And then c takes d5 is the best move, but he played e takes d5. And then now they're saying e3 is better. That's interesting. Why would e3? I don't know. Yeah, so anyway, so e3 apparently in a position like this. Alright, so go back to d4, go to castle, knight e5, knight bd7. Alright. I thought this was a weird move. I didn't really like that move. I liked, what is the guy? He got knight e4. I thought knight e4 was a decent enough move. Bishop e6. Yeah, you can do bishop e6 even. In the Stonewall, that's kind of a maneuver. Well, I think a lot of times in the Stonewall they do something like this, actually. But why not just cut off the middleman? There's no pawn there, right? So, anyways, so knight bd7. And now I play d3, which they're saying knight d3. You know, honestly, I think knight d3 is a better reroute of the knight, actually. That's actually really good. I should have done that. Whoops. Should have done that. Knight e4. Yeah, so this actually looks pretty good to me. Knight's got some options now. So his knight is now blocking in this bishop. So yeah, this is a good position. It's saying it's even, but I think it's a good position. So I played e3. Knight takes e5. I took back with the pawn, and then he played knight g4. I thought knight e8 or knight d7 was a better move. They're saying knight e4. Yeah, again, they're saying knight e4 is good. So now I'm playing f4. So okay, so this position I thought was really good for me. So it's saying the computer evaluation is 0.7. And I think I went a little astray here, right? So he played bishop c5 to put pressure on the pawn. I played queen e2. Queen d3 is the better move, and you know, I do this a lot too. So when I'm centralizing my queen, sometimes I'm picking the wrong square, and it may be a safety thing. I'll have to think about that for a bit. So queen d3 is I mean, that just makes more sense, right? You're just doing more stuff and having more control of stuff. So yeah. All right. So queen e2, d4 now. Which, yeah, so let's say in bishop e6 to block the pawn. So d takes c3. I'm sorry, d4. So now, yeah, it's queen c4 check, and yeah, so I'm winning here because he just made a mistake. So now we're at a +2 position for white. All I have to do now is just hold that kind of +2. And when you get to an endgame and +2, and I'm not saying trade down, I'm just saying that you just have to kind of hold that. So you have to, you know, so he goes bishop e6. Yeah, and now I played h3, and the computer's saying it's the best move. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good move or not. I did that so I could play b3 and get my bishop out. That's why I did that. So h3, now h6. And yeah, so b3 is the third move. We got e4, bishop d2. Yeah. Kind of like e4 now that I'm looking at it. Well, no, because if you play e4, if he takes, if you take, he's hitting the pawn. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's good or not. Well, that's good or not. Let's take a quick look. So they want e4. So what happens if he just takes it? I'm missing something that says. So now, so you don't take back right away. Ah, I see. So you just do this pawn storm. So you do that so you can do the pawn storm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jeez. And this is why you should go over your games. So that way you'll find other plans. Like, the computer's showing me a tactical mistake that I made. I'll say I'm not interested, but it's these plans that they'll find that I find more useful. And this is what a coach is good for too, So a coach or a computer. Computer's good if you understand what the computer's trying to tell you. All right, I mean that's kind of the key component. So back to knight h6, and now b3. All right. So b3 there, and then rook f7. Yeah, that's what he played. So anyway, so played b3. He played queen e8. And then I played bishop a3. No, yeah, I did. No, bishop a3. Again, they're saying e4, and I really like e4 now that I can see what it does. So this move, so the computer's recommending it too, right? And I feel like I am just pushing him towards his goal now, like after seeing how the game ended up. So bishop a3, rook to g8. So now his rook is behind this pawn, right? And this pawn is going to push down. And yeah, I'm not sure that was the best idea, but anyway, so now I keep playing the second best moves here. And queen to g6. All right. So again, e4 is the move. Let's take a look at e4 again. Ah, God. So this is the story. So if you look over your game sometimes, you'll see that there's one move that's just screaming to be played, and you keep missing it. So it's a blind spot. So this pawn play stuff is a bit of a kind of, I'm looking at it like, oh, I'm giving up a pawn, but I'm getting, if he takes it, I'm getting a really nice structure, and he probably has to sacrifice something to keep going, and then I have all my pieces in play, so I should be okay if something like that happens. So I played rook d6, and this was a wasted move. I thought it was better than what it was. Again, I think I stopped looking for my opponent's plans. Most of my problems at this point, it's not seeing tactics. It's not that I don't have the ability to see tactics. It's more that I stop looking for them at some point, and I stop trying to understand what my opponent's doing. It's all bad habits and thinking. So that's and that's the thing. You got to be able to fix it though, and that it's hard. Okay, so rook d6, rook a8, which I don't think I think knight f7 is the best move. Yeah, absolutely. So just knight f7, just kicking it, wasted move, almost forcing me to do this, and then queen takes e6, now e4. So that's not terrible. I mean that's not a terrible position, and I thought about it during the game. I had a hard time evaluating this as winning though. I think it's because I kept wanting to take the pawn back, so I kept thinking about that h3 pawn instead of just viewing it like kind of a dead pawn there, But whatever. So rook d6. He played rook d8 to protect the bishop, yes. And then I played king f2. So again, f4. they're constantly telling me e4 rather, e4. All right, so e4 should have been played like the last like 10 moves. All right, king f2, trying to protect the pawn. And I don't know why I thought like this was the way to do it, but anyway, so knight f7. Then I played rook to, yeah. So they're telling me to. They want me to sack the rook. No, okay. Could you? You could sack the rook though, right? What would happen? No, rook d d1. No, they keep saying move it. All right. So okay, so rook d4 is my move. Queen h6. And then, what did I do? So I got some moves here I could do. Rook d1, rook fc1. Oh, well, all right. So I play queen a5, and then they're saying b6, giving me the pawn, which I thought was good when I analyzed it, but yeah, I'm doing okay here. So they played g5, just trying to crack open everything, and now they're saying my best move is to go back or rook g1. So I played queen to c7 because I thought this was going to be something, and then g takes f4. And again, I thought everything was going to be okay here. So then e takes f4 and rook to g7. I thought that was a good move. Peter's saying it's not that great, but I thought it was kind of difficult. But they're saying it's not that. Oh, you know why? This. So I completely missed a tactical shot there. Yeah. Completely missed a tactical shot. So queen g6, and then you got bishop h4. And you also have this square that you're eyeing. So yeah, look at that. So I completely missed that idea planned for defense. So queen takes b7. Again, because I just didn't think his attack was that strong. He does this. I'm still doing good here. I'm still saying bishop b7. It's so interesting. It's funny. I just had like this block on I'm like okay, I think I can survive this. Thought it was complicated, but I thought I could survive it. Queen takes c6. Rook takes g3. Then rook to g1, which they're saying bishop to f3 at this point. Yeah, and then it's pretty even. So you play this, and they're saying it's even. So what happens? Rook takes h3 here. Yeah, and queen checks probably eventually. Yeah, they're saying this is even. That you can. I wouldn't want to play against it, but yeah, it probably isn't too bad. You got to stay off the light squares though, because you got to watch out for your queen's kind of loose. But anyway, so rook g1, knight takes e5. Yeah, I didn't think knight takes e5 was a good move. It was one of the shocking moves. So knight takes e5. And now, what do you do? Queen c7, queen c5, so queen, okay, so they're saying queen c7, right? So I made the losing move. See, I didn't even feel like I was winning here. I felt like it was pretty even. So queen c7 is essentially what this is doing. Is they're saying you can't move the pawn because the queen is going to come here, right? So it's going to come with a check, and there's going to be all these mating threats, and that's exactly what happened. So what I needed to do was to put pressure on the knight and not move that pawn. So that's kind of the story there. Yeah. All right. So queen e3, f takes e5, Queen e3, check, and then now black is completely winning here. King f1, takes d4. I just kept taking pieces, why not at this point? And then there's just like a little mating pattern there that I missed. And there you go. Those are my 3 games this morning. So the opening was kind of funky in the one, even though I had plenty of chances. So I've got to really start working on my openings again, kind of just looking, not even really working on them. Like, I don't need more memorization. I just need to look at them, see some ideas, look at some of the funkier stuff. I think that, and doing a little more calculation would probably be good, because I cut my calculation off a little bit. But mostly when I'm playing, I have to tell myself to always think about what your opponent's doing. Like say my brain is doing everything else, okay? So it's doing things like it's checking the positional ideas, and it's kind of like, okay, how it's doing the evaluation, it's doing the blunder checks, but I need to focus on my opponent's plans. So I think that's going to be my next step. So I'm going to be playing more as opposed to studying more, because I feel like playing are where all my holes are right now, and I need to kind of, I need to mend those holes so the leak isn't so bad. All right, guys, this is Derek with Blue Collar Chess. I hope you find these kind of informative. I know some of it's just me kind of rambling, looking at the position, looking at it with the computer, doing some analysis on my own. But that's what it looks like when you're on your own. So I'm going to go over these games again with my coach, and my coach is going to give me some other things that I missed. So I'm going over these games a couple times, and so and that's the way to get better. You improve your knowledge by studying. You work on your skills by doing tactics, by doing visualization training. You can't express enough how important visualization training is. And then you play games, and you work on your psychology during the game. That's it. I mean, it's really pretty simple. It's just hard work. So, again, this is Derek with Blue Collar Chess. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, guys. Talk to everybody later.